You ever feel like trusting someone is just way too big of a risk? Like it's not even worth it? Well, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to get into the psychology of mistrust and figure out why, for some of us, letting that guard down feels almost impossible.
And we have all these labels for people who struggle with trust, right? We call them cold or distant or maybe too sensitive. But honestly, those words don't even begin to cover it. The real story behind mistrust is so much more complicated and frankly, a lot more human than you'd think.
Yeah, this quote it hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? Trusting people feels risky and emotionally draining. See, for people who really struggle with this, it's not some conscious choice. It's like their internal alarm is just always on. I mean, can you imagine how exhausting that is? Living every single day feeling like you're walking on an emotional tightrope?
So, what is really going on under the surface? Well, that's what we're here to do. Let's start taking down that wall of mistrust, brick by painful brick, and see what's behind it. Okay, so if we really want to get to the bottom of this, we have to start by looking back. Because for so many people, the seeds of mistrust, they were planted a long, long time ago, usually in some really painful experiences.
And here's the first big reason: betrayal. Ugh, it's a kind of pain that can leave a scar on your soul, right? It's not just something you remember, it completely changes the way you see the world and the people in it. So maybe a partner lied to you, or cheated, or a really close friend started talking behind your back, or maybe someone you counted on just vanished. These kinds of things, they teach you a really tough lesson that trusting people is dangerous. So what does your brain do? It goes into protection mode. It creates this little file that says, nope, never again. And that file can stay open for a very long time.
But, okay, what if it's not just one big dramatic betrayal? What happens when that lesson, the one that says people can't be trusted, is something you learned over and over again from the very beginning? Think about it. You're a kid and promises are always being broken, or love feels like something you have to earn, or your parents are just completely unpredictable. One day they're warm, the next they're distant. That kind of environment doesn't just confuse a child, it actually teaches them that relationships are fundamentally unstable. It becomes their blueprint for how the world works. And this is way more than just having a tough childhood. There's actually a psychological term for what happens here. It's called an insecure attachment style. Basically, it's a deep-seated belief that gets wired into you as a kid. The belief that people are just unpredictable and you can't really rely on them. And that belief, man, it can follow you into every single relationship you have as an adult. So you see, the past isn't really in the past. It's more like a ghost that hangs around. These experiences literally change how your brain is wired. It's like they install this super sensitive alarm system that's designed to protect you from getting hurt again, but it ends up seeing threats absolutely everywhere. And that brings us to reason 3. They overthink everything. You know what I'm talking about, right? Where you read a text message like 10 times trying to figure out the real meaning behind it, or you replay a conversation over and over in your head looking for tiny little clues you might have missed. Yeah, that's not just overthinking. That's a classic sign of a mind that's on constant high alert. And this comparison here is just perfect. So the reality might be super simple. My friend seems quiet today. That's it. But for the hypervigilant mind, it's a totally different story. It's this immediate spiral. What did I do? Are they mad at me? Oh my God, they're going to leave me. It's not really paranoia. It's the brain trying to get ahead of the pain it expects is coming. And there's a name for this state of being constantly on guard. It's called hypervigilance. The best way to think about it is like having a smoke detector that's way too sensitive. It doesn't just go off when there's a fire. It goes off when you're just making toast. It's absolutely exhausting, and it makes it pretty much impossible to ever truly relax around people. Now, all this suspicion isn't just pointed outwards. A lot of the time, the real root of the problem, it's pointed inward. Which brings us to reason number 4, a struggle with self-worth. Because when you deep down don't feel like you're worthy of love or kindness, your brain just can't accept it at face value. Instead, you're constantly asking yourself these questions. What do they really want from me? Or why would someone like them genuinely want to be with me? And the big one, how long until they figure out who I really am and leave? It's like a constant, quiet hum of doubt in the background of every interaction. And this quote really just sums it all up, doesn't it? If you don't feel worthy of love, you naturally expect people to leave you. It's a brutal kind of logic, but It makes sense. If you don't believe you're worth keeping, you'll always be waiting for the other shoe to drop. Okay, so let's recap. We've got past betrayals, an unstable childhood, constant overthinking, and low self-worth. All of these painful paths, they all lead to one final destination: this fortress of self-reliance. This is our fifth and final reason. They learned that they can only depend on themselves. And let's be really clear here, this isn't about being arrogant or proud. It's about survival. It's about learning the hard way that the only person you can be 100% sure will never abandon you is yourself. And the journey to get there is pretty straightforward, and sadly, pretty common. Step 1, you needed help. You needed support. Step 2, nobody showed up. Step 3, so you figured it out. You learned to handle everything on your own. And now you're at step 4. The very idea of depending on someone else feels, well, it feels dangerous. Again, this isn't just a personality quirk, it's a full-blown coping mechanism. Psychologists even have a term for it: avoidant coping. It's what happens when your experiences have taught you over and over again that being vulnerable is a massive risk. So you just avoid it. You rely on yourself because it feels like the only safe option.
So after looking at all of this, what's the big takeaway? It's actually pretty simple, but it's so important. We need to completely reframe how we think about this whole struggle. Here's the bottom line: this isn't a weakness, it's a survival mechanism. Let me say that again. The walls someone builds aren't there because they hate people. They're there to protect a part of them that's been deeply hurt. In a way, those walls are a testament to their strength.
So if any of this is hitting home for you, I really want you to hear this loud and clear. You aren't broken. You learned how to protect yourself. You learned how to be incredibly careful with your own heart. And you know what? That is a form of strength, not a flaw. And that's really the most important thing to remember. You're not weak for being cautious. You're human. Being careful with who you trust isn't some deep character flaw. It's a sign that you've been through something. It's a sign of your resilience. It's a perfectly human response to surviving in a world that isn't always kind.